This is a print of a sort of bracket. It's a little bit rough. I think that's because of, just put the sunlight on, this is dead cheap filament, and got some like string and sort of stuff here. This is actually, it's a bracket to hold two, I think they're 120mm fans, and it's to go actually under this print bed. So I'm hoping to rig up a relay. I already have 2 relays on this print bed for this light here, and turn it on and off with a switch. We can also turn it on and off under octo print using the light on control on, in that case. I think it's light on plug-in in octo print, and that's powered off the Raspberry Pi I have for octo print. So I plan to put another relay unit to turn these 2 fans that blow, well, actual fans, actually, you get one. So, like fans like this, and these, on a couple of these black brackets will be under the print bed. When the print's finished, the G code will switch on the fans and blow cool air onto the bottom of the heat bed, hoping to cool it down quicker than what it does cool down normally, so to speak. So I'm going to try and catch this when it finishes, okay, and then we're going to see how long it does take to cool down normally without any fans on, and compare that with how long it does take to cool down with some fans on. So where this Ender 5 Plus is, this like section goes across here and stops you trying to do videos. As you see the roughness here, that should basically scrape off. So I'll show you under the heat bed. Looks like aluminium, some sort of aluminium foil type stuff here. I think it's plastic coated, pretty strong. You've got the rails going across. That's my strain relief for the wires going in there, and the adjustment knobs to adjust the level of the bed. Okay, so that's underneath at the moment. Just try and show you the ambient temperature, 30 degrees C. We use centigrade in most of England, UK. Right, it's on 99% now. It's in 4 hours 9 minutes. So it's got a little bit more to do. So again, it's moving this very small amounts to do this top layer across the, because this does have infill on here. I think it's set to 35%. So 210 on the nozzle, 60 on the heat bed. That's a bit warm actually. This is on the glass surface. There we go. 99%, that's all it's showing on the display. Hear it squeaking there, and I've known it squeak a lot louder than that. Yes, oil and grease on the threaded rods. There's a tune I get to play when it's finished printing. And now basically I ask for it to go to 30, well I don't really ask for it to go to, it's switched off there. Just let me move this camera. So I'll set this to 12 o'clock. Just a little bit after, because we have gone a little bit after. So now that'll show us how long it does take to cool down basically. But when it gets to 32, I ask it to play another tune under the NG code. This light here is just to tell me that there's a couple of fans that are put in here. So it's switched off, those are under thermostatic control to keep the power supply cool and the control boards cool and such like. So gradually the bed's going to cool down because it's turned off now, no thingy on and no nozzle temperature on. See, that's set to 32. There's an R command, if I remember correctly, in the G code that lowers the temperature to a temperature that you ask for. The glass bed basically, the glass does hold quite a bit of heat in itself, but getting to that temperature where it can even want to think about trying to get the part off the bed. And there's a tune there. See, saying 33, I do ask for 32, but that's better with the hack I've got in the C++ big code. Showing you one here. I'm saying 33 on there, 25 on the nozzle here, 26. So now I can take this part off the bed. I'll show you that. So as I say, I use this old paint scraper. This had a pretty hollow handle on here, so I filled it with some hot glue. I hold it quite low to the bed. Quite often the skirt will sort of lift. Yep, good one-piece skirt, that's good. It was nice to have a one-piece skirt. And quite often I'll bash it with these long nose pliers just to tap here, right on the bottom edge here. Get under, sometimes under the corner like that, and I can go along, and there we are, it comes off quite easily. Pretty good apart from these rough parts, as I say. Sometimes I can scrape it with the edge of it. I'll zoom out a bit more. Oops, sorry. Scrape it with the edge of the scraper. See these rough parts here. So that's those curves, like one fan there, one fan here. And basically this will be on here, but right further back, so to speak, and the fans on the top here screwed in from below. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, a bit of roughness there again, more like stringing in a way. What's this side like? This is the cheapest PLA I could find on eBay. About £13.50 in English UK pounds. Prints out not too bad, but I have noticed quite a bit of stringing on here with this PLA. So maybe I have to adjust the settings on that. But I need 2 of these for the fans to go in. Okay, I'm going to print out another one, and when I've done that I'll come back and show you. After scraping it a bit with the edge of the paint scraper thing I've got, it's maybe a bit like this. Oops, knocking the camera. Be careful here because this is pretty blunt. It's not very, I mean I can press that and I'm not going to cut myself. It does leave an indent in my finger, but that's all. So most of that's come off. Let's scrape that a little bit more. So okay, the print is still on because it's still cooling down from the second one of these I've printed, which is still on the bed. I'll just show you about putting this on. Now this one, the curves facing towards us. Okay, and I'm putting that in a bit of an angle there to get it round onto the 2 things going across there, and put it somewhere near where I think it needs to go. And I've got the 2 140 into this make here. I'll put some details below. 12 volts these, so I have to be careful because this is basically 24 volt system in here. Now I do, so as I remember, have one of these boxes is a 12 volt, well 24 to 12 volt buck converter, so I'll probably use that to power them. But initially I'm just going to power them off a power supply, adjustable power supply. Just show you temperature now. It's been a few more hours and we're still on 30 degrees centigrade there. You can see that. I'll drop slightly. Okay, so on some fans you might be lucky enough, these do have somewhere an arrow to say what direction they're turning and what direction they're going to blow out air, which is towards this like fin type thing at the top here. I'm going to call them fins, mountain thing for the motor. Right, I'm going to slide these in here. I'll come back when I've done that. I'll probably have to line up the 2 plastic things a bit. Screw these 2 fans on this side here. Okay, that's going to be the upside there. I'm going to wangle this in here. I don't think we'll be able to do both with the threaded rods and such like. That one, yeah, that's on there. I've got the cable coming down the middle. Let me just lift that up a bit, get that on that edge. Right, I'll screw these 4 screws in. There we are. Might want to have a look. Move forward a little bit from where it is. If you're worried about these shifting about, you probably could put a drop of super glue on them. Right, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to raise the bed to 60 and we'll see how long it takes to cool down just now, okay? And I'm going to power this off just like variable power supply unit I've got with 12 volts on, just as a test. Right, I'm going to do, I did do a previous test, but this stupid clock stopped. The battery unit is loose. So I'm going to do another test here. Let's get this bed temperature to 60. So select bed, 60, okay. And I'm going to give that a few minutes at 60 to get this, make sure it's stabilized as if it was printing, so to speak. Remembering there's no parts on the bed, and those would make the bed retain a little bit of heat. So I'll come back after this is at a good 10 minutes, maybe a bit longer actually. Right, it's been on 60 a good 10 minutes, you know, a quarter an hour there. So I'm going to ask it to go to a temperature of 32, which is what I ask in the end G code. So 32 there, press that, go to info screen, and I'm going to turn on the fans, remove the camera. Let me set this time to 12 o'clock because it's easier to calculate stuff if it still keeps going, because I've had problems with the battery in this clock being loose. Show you the fans now. So as you see, both fans are turning, they're wide in parallel here, going off a 12 volt variable power supply unit I have down here. I'll show you that just now, I'll show you the voltage and the claimed ampage. Now I have raised this up about 2 millimeters by putting some blocks on the two sides. I'll show you that just now as well. See, the fans are turning there. I'll see how long it takes to get to about 32 on this heat bed. So I printed out these just square blocks here, 2 millimeters thick, to raise this up 2 millimeters. In the design I'll shorten the edges 2 millimeters to allow for that, because what I found is when I went to 400 on the max height, sort of lowering the bed down on this Creality Ender 5 Plus, it would touch against a plastic thing I had on here, one of these sort of logo type things. But by reason, like, I'll show you that later anyway, but I'll show you this is my power supply unit, been okay. So 12.1, 0.11, I think that's supposed to be milliamps. So presume that's 110 milliamps there. Okay, turn this light back on. Fans are still turning, and they're sucking air from below and blowing it onto the sort of aluminium foil type stuff, which seems to have a plastic coating underneath the bed. I presume there is some insulation there, so that will impact that. But let's try and get the time here. Well, it's down to what we're at, 33. That's about the temperature that it would actually play the tune for me, although I do ask for 32, and that's quarter of an hour, 15 minutes there. As you see, I'm faking this. Yep, the fans are still turning. Can I show you that? Might get a bit of strobe in here. You see the two fans are turning there. So that's okay. So that's going to save quarter an hour on every single print. But I do anyway. And imagine this is still going to cool down even more. Right, let's turn all this off.